Hello, everyone. So, this has been a long time coming because of my schedule challenges. And I have some notes that I'm going to definitely reference because I don't want to forget anyone that I want to reference for this conversation. This is, let's see, make sure that I get my notes. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. And I'm going to try to do it the best way that I can, but I know there is going to be a lot of things that come to mind. So I'm going to, if you have any questions or comments, I'm going to take a look at that later on. First, I want to really spend some time going over why I want to do this conversation with you all. And it has been something that I wanted to address for a while, but I didn't have the permission that I needed in order to properly do this conversation. So now is the time, and hopefully, we have a really good conversation about this topic because I think it's important for us to understand some of these things, especially for those that are not in any designated spiritual society or anything like that. We're looking at this from different point of views to understand, and it is for anyone that is willing to understand and willing to go through the process to figure out how to heal themselves by paying attention to what they're receiving from the higher self and from the things that they're going through, including the activations. I told you guys that I went through an activation of the throat. I am still going through the side effects of that activation. I'm still coughing. I went through all, like if I tell you the whole thing, it's unbelievable. And it's been 6 weeks. I'm still coughing and really asking myself, what is it that I haven't yet learned in order for me to release and get rid of the symptoms? Because obviously there's information there that I haven't been able to pick up. Maybe because I'm being tired, I'm feeling sick, so I'm tired, I'm trying to rest, but I'm also doing a lot of meditation. So I'm like, why is the answer not coming? And it's because I wasn't ready. I wasn't really ready for the answer. I had to do a lot of reflection in order for me to really tap into that answer and understand it deeply, not just briefly, but deeply. And the information has been insane. Like, I wish I could reveal more, but this is a public platform and I don't feel comfortable doing that. But it really has been eye opening to the next level because when we go through these activations, a lot of people think it's an activation and I'm superhuman and that's it, and it's way deeper than that. And the activation comes with a lot of healing, but the healing comes when we go through the process of understanding ourselves and figuring out what else we have to let go of in order for us to become a better version of ourselves. So anyways, this came because I've been working on this um, for years now, working on this chakra. This is the chakra that I use when I do shamanic work. And you guys know that I love sacred plant medicine. And when I go into a journey or when I go into working with myself or someone else, I use this chakra so much that it's one of the main chakras that I use as my way to help others and channel the different entities, the different mysterios, the different deities. And when this chakra has been so much affected, obviously I knew there was tremendous healing for me. So of course, it's been it has taken longer than I expected, but for a good reason, even though it sucks. So, anyways, this is gonna tie to what I'm talking today about because you if you pay attention, you'll be able to connect the things. Anyways, obsessor spirit guide. I don't think a lot of people are talking about this the way that we should be talking about this, because I think a lot of people are going to be thinking, you're crazy. There is no such thing. If we have an obsessor, it's only from the left planes, and that obsessor spirit entity is going to come just to bother us, and it's not coming for our highest good. And what I have to say is, uh, nothing can be further from the truth when we tap into the obsessor spirit, let's call it obsessor entity, that is assigned to our spiritual core, in order for that entity to bring forward the challenges that we're ready to deal with now. There are different phases of this. You cannot deal with all the challenges all at once. So what happens is that we go through layers, and like just the whole year has the 4 seasons. We go through those seasons. Every season has a different challenge. So the spirit the spirit this spirit is part of your spiritual core to create challenges. You have to overcome those challenges in order for you to move to the next challenge. And sometimes what I see is how these specific challenges, when you overcome them and you go through an activation because you have overcome them, then you have the side effects. Obviously, if you're not that healthy, like I eat a lot of carbs, so I'm not eating the right fruits and veggies, obviously, because I'm going through this yo-yo where every few years, whatever. I don't want to get sidetracked, but you get my point. Because I am not perfectly healthy, my side effects linger for longer, so I really feel it. If you're very healthy, you might not even feel that much physically, as much as I do, because how healthy you might be. So, anyways, my point is, these challenges come depending on the season that you're dealing with. And when you're having activation, you have the activation, their side effects, whatever those may be, and then you start integrating everything that you're going through with this activation. The integration takes time. So, of course, that's going to come with challenges that you have to also overcome. So, there are a lot of challenges that are divinely put into our life so that we can get to the next season of our life. Does that make sense? Like, everything is happening in divine timing, and then you have to wonder why. There is this entity that is assigned to your spirit team, to your spirit core. This entity comes with knowledge of all the traumas that you have to overcome. And sometimes a lot of those traumas are activated a specific time frame because you're now ready to deal with them. Sometimes those traumas have origin in this life, and sometimes it's coming from another life. How does that entity has access to the other lives, you might ask? Because this person, when you're making the contract to come, is right there in the same room with you. So there is in Espiritismo Cruzado, in cross spiritism, they do have knowledge of this spirit entity that I'm referring about, and they call it el espíritu obsessor. You don't see a lot of people talking about that because it's not something that a lot of people want to really talk about. And you see it in IFA as Eshu, and we're going to talk about Eshu later. And I already have people, a specific person, talk about the fact that I'm doing a lot of things that are from different practices, and it's because I'm assuming we have a lot of people here that come from different origins. So I want you to understand what I'm talking about, not because I think of them as the same, but because I'm assuming there are people here that are not into any of this stuff, and they're here because they want to learn. I'm assuming that there are people here that are into Osha or Ifa, Espiritismo, Sanse, Voodoo, Palo, whatever, right? Muerterismo. So all of these people are going to call it different things, but the essence of it, at the end of the day, is basically the same. Maybe in Druidism, it's called something else. I don't know. It could be, for some people, it could be Hecate. It could be something else. I don't know. We have done videos on some of these things, and you can put two and two together. My point is, this Egun Obsessor, as Obsessor Egun, as is calling Ifa, or Eshu, that is an entity that works under Eshu's guidance. This entity a lot of people think it's a deity or issue or a spirit that comes every so often. Some people say every 21 days or whatever it is, and it comes to regulate, are you doing the work that you say you were going to do? I do not believe it comes every 21 days, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. I just want to give you the overview of what I think. This entity, I have seen it and he has been revealed to me in a way that is part of me, basically, and is an entity that resides within me. And of course, I had to go and get all of this information when I tap into this type of revelation a while back. And when he came back to remind me that I'm ready now to talk about this, I was like, let me refresh my mind. And I went through some of the videos that I'm going to reference. I couldn't find a lot of info on this, so you know, it's a lot of this info you might tap into it if you speak Spanish and you're listening to some of the Espiritismo, or some of the Osha, or the Ovaredes YouTube channels. Then you're gonna maybe tap into this. It's not something that you're gonna find often, so some of you might be doubting what this is, and I'm gonna break it down for you the best way that I can. So into 2020, the first time that I really felt like this thing is really in me, like this thing is really part of me. Somehow I felt it too outside but inside, but to like outside inside but together, like part of me. Anyways, I started obviously investigating and going into deep meditation to find some answers. And even in even when I was going through some of the ceremonies, this entity will come forward and it will reveal itself as, you know, part of the spirit thing, of course. But what I tap into later in 2020 was how this entity comes with a very sacred challenge for us. And it sucks because we think of this entity as evil or whatever, we, you know, just an entity that causes issues for us. And we don't realize why those issues are coming forward. We think, let me just get rid of the problem. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this topic, because it's not about getting rid of the problem. It's about figuring out how to go through the internal reflection so that we don't continue to make the same mistakes again. So when we are always doing, like, you know, I meet a lot of people that are always doing things, they're always doing obras, they're doing evos, they're doing a lot of work, like magic work to get rid of problems, but they never think, how did I create the problem in the first place? Why is this repeating itself? Because every time that you do work, spiritual work, you might be doing an obra, a sacrificio, a sacrifice, or, you know, prayers to get rid of something, or whatever you're doing, an offering. But and you get rid of that problem. But when you don't do the reflection and you don't do the contemplation, the meditations, you will see that you repeat the problem because you didn't solve the problem. You just took one out, but you left the same reasons why the first thing happened is still there. It's still part of your DNA. It's still part of your personality or your programming. Therefore, you release one problem, but then you open yourself to another one and it becomes a pattern that you repeat. This is why I'm passionate about this, because the more and more that I do, that I meet different people, beautiful souls that are dealing with a lot of different pattern repetition and like things that are next level challenges, it's always about the fact that they didn't work on things in order for them to really release fully from the root the cause of the issue that created the challenge or the pattern. The obsessor entity, the obsessor spirit team member, or the obsessor being is there for the sole reason to regulate what challenges you're going to work on for what period of time. And once you conquer that, you now get moved to the next challenge. And this entity has access to all of that. And this entity works hand in hand with your spirit guardian angel and your protector spirit. So these three entities are really behind the scenes, moving things, doing things in order to help you walk the right path. Is it evil? No, it's not, because this this entity has access to all the challenges that the soul has. And because he has access to all of those challenges, let's say you overcome a major challenge, you get ready for the next one. Maybe the next one originated here, or you originated in another life. And you're like, let me give you an example. I was thinking, like, why is this? I was thinking about something specific. Why is this happening to me? Why do I keep repeating this pattern? And I'm thinking and going back, back, back. And then somehow I jump and went into a life in Atlantis. And I'm like, oh my God, like I saw all the dynamics and all the things, and I'm like, well, that makes sense now, because before it didn't, honestly. It wasn't making sense. No matter how much I took it back to childhood, it wasn't making sense. So I went intentionally into a meditation to go back to the origins. And this was after this activation. And I'm seeing, and I never really experienced a lot of life in Atlantis that like in my quantum healing or anything like that. um Before in my meditations I did, but never like this. It was just like, yeah, Atlantis, whatever. But this was so deep and so impactful to me that it really made things make so much sense that it was unbelievable. Anyway, so let's see. I want to make sure that if you want to learn more about this, you have to look into cross spiritism, where most likely you will find information about the obsessor spirit entity. Because otherwise, you're going to see that the obsessor spirit entity, most people will talk about this as something that comes from the demons and the devil, and it's going to, cause you. And it's not like that. This specific entity that we're talking about, we can even call it, for easier, if it's easier for us to understand, that we can call it a challenger, because he's going to challenge us. He's going to create, so these obsessions that are being created are created for the sake of us understanding that there is a problem there that we have to overcome. So if we want to call it the challenger, we can call it the challenger. The challenger spirit guide is that entity that sits right here in the back of the neck area, and is going to align things and challenges and problems in full consciousness of everything else that you're working with. I hope that makes sense. So, okay, so let's see. Where do I want to start? You guys, you guys know that I love ayahuasca in San Pedro, and there is no surprise there. You guys know about that. You also know that I do a lot of the quantum healing sessions and 21 divisions. But what I find interesting is that when you talk to different elders that are known in spiritismo, and see, in spiritismo there are 7 entities that are assigned naturally to all of us, right? The first 3 are those. The obsessor spirit guide is one of those entities. In cross spiritismo is very, like, it's one of the major ones, because it has a lot of influence of Osha. In Osha we know about Eshu. So I'm going to start with where this information becomes interesting, is because when I did a video, I think last year I did a video on Eshu, and also no issue on the back of the mouth chakra that is right here on the back of the neck. The mouth of the goddess, or the mouth of God, is called, or the alta major. This chakra, um if you want to watch the video, because I don't want to make this too super long, I would recommend to watch the video in order for you to understand why the obsessor spirit being resides here. But also a video that was done by Dr. Pulido, Luciano Pulido, Luciano Pulido. He has videos in English and Spanish that I highly, 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 highly recommend. He talks about Eshu and Eshu, representation of Eshu in our lives, our daily lives, for all of us, not just people that are into IFA. I'm going to reference him because I think it's important, because he comes from a quantum physics background. He is a health practitioner, and he is a babalao, very well known very educated. Like this guy, I mean, I'm serious. He's definitely someone that you want to find his YouTube. There is a link in this, in the description of this video, where you can find his YouTube channel. Definitely recommend Dr. Luciano Blido. He speaks about Eshu and how Eshu scientifically lives in the back of the neck chakra, and why he lives in the back of the neck chakra, and the all the functions that comes with this chakra, and how it really affects stress management, how energy is distributed. He talks about the fact that when this chakra here sends information to the pineal gland and all of that stuff. So definitely very scientific, quantum physics, scientific video that he did, version 1 and 2, about 2 hours, and definitely something that you really want to check out, because it's probably the most comprehensive video that there is on Eshu and um, issue in our lives. But what else does it mean for the regular person that doesn't even practice IFA? Why this chakra, and how it creates mobility and all of this stuff, all of that is there. But the video that I did on the back of the neck chakra is also going to give you more of the more mysterious things about the pineal gland and all of that stuff, and cleansing, and how is the antenna and all of this stuff, So I'm not going to go into that, because you can check that out individually. But I do want to remind you of a revelation that I received before. I think I talked about this in one of the videos, and I did a video on the Hell's Gate, which some people might be Hell's Gate, but I was talking about the mouth, okay? But anyways, before I continue, I want to remind you of that revelation with the 5 Megillots, the writings of the Tanakh, because you guys, I always mention that I'm not into the Bible, like I really don't know much about the Bible. Like I cannot remember much of what I studied when I was a child, and it just blends in everything, and I don't really care. So everything that I receive through whatever dreams I have or revelations, and then I go and study. So the Megillos, there are 5 books, and those out of those 5 books, I'm going to reference 2 specific books, because in those books we had the clue about why the obsessor spirit guy is going to make sense in a second. So in the book of Lamentations, the book of Lamentation is about humiliation, suffering, despair, right? And about mistakes and failures and bad decisions. The book of Esther, it talks about the beauty. And then when I received the revelation, it was about those 5 books and how they link to the Kabbalah tree, and how the beauty that they're referred to in Esther is all about the beauty column in the Kabbalah tree, and how this beauty column is the heart center that then connects to the other higher center in order for us to go through the different ascension process, right? Why I'm mentioning this is because the heart in the Kabbalah tree is called beauty. The book of Esther is about beauty, and then you have to go in and decipher what beauty means. But beauty, this beauty connects to the throat chakra. That the throat chakra is the back of the neck chakra, right? So you see how this is a gate, and this is the gate of knowledge. This gate, this entity that resides here, is going to monitor, and it's going to be cleansed and aligned when you go through the process of releasing, aligning, and activating your heart center, and also the throat center. Is key. I don't know how else to say this so you guys can understand me, because it's major. We cannot really align with this obsessor spirit entity that is creating problems for us, because we're not understanding. When we start understanding, a lot of the challenges, they go away, you overcome them, you are more in alignment, so you feel happy, more present, clear minded. When you start receiving a lot of triggers, when you start being anything that is going to be low vibration, Look up low vibration emotions, low emotions, fear, jealousy, right? Hate, um, all of those very dense emotions are going to create so many blockages for you. And it's because this entity here is saying you really need to work on this. And the more triggers that you receive is because this entity is saying you're not like the entity is working with this, the guardian angel and the protector being and the obsessor being, the three of them are working in conjunction and giving you this passion to you messages that you have to work with in order for you to know, oh my God, why am I being triggered by this person or this thing or this specific situation? Because it's sending you signals that are saying you need to work on this. Now, if you don't understand it, it gets it snowball until it becomes out of hand and you don't know what else to do. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm having a breakdown. And it's because you didn't pay attention all the time. So it had to get to that point where you basically collapse like the tower moment in the tarot, right? You collapse and then you start fresh. So the heart in the Kabbalistic tree that is called beauty is also synonym to the book of Esther. And the book of Esther talks about, you know, her beauty as a queen, beauty and the heart and open the gates of mercy, the gates of Mercury and this and that. And all of that is talking about the consciousness, the I am consciousness that is going to open up the third eye in the crown. But you first have to open this, and align this. So there is a term that I wish I remember now, but I can remember, you know, if I wanted to sound more fancy, that I'm not even going to pretend. So, anyway, so Dr. Luciano Pulido, amazing babalao. He's like, I mean, I'm telling you, when I say amazing, amazing. Dr. Luciano talks about Esho, Esho living in the back of the neck. Esho, this Esho, they call it in Ifa, Esho Nipako. And in the way that I understood Esho Nipako, which represents life and the shadow that we need to bring forward. And we've been talking about shadow for a long time, so I'm not even going to break that down, right? The shadows, the triggers, the things that makes us know, feel amazing, makes us trigger, feel less than, or whatever it is, anger, blah blah blah, blah, hate, envy, um, any low vibration emotion, any um, things that you create in your mind, any obsessions, come because Asian Ipaco is sending you those signals so that you can work and align yourself. So according to Dr. Luciano, um, I think he's been practicing for 30 something years. And like I said, he's a quantum physics researcher and a health practitioner as well, besides just being a babalao, right? He speaks on Eshu Elekba and the fact that Eshu lives here in the back of the skull, and that this issue it really is controlling a lot of things that gives lives, that creates lives. So I highly recommend for you to watch that video. He also talks about the fact that Eshu takes the mind of the humans, and in OBD he says that in OBD, and I did look it up, I do have this Odu, Tratado de Odun de Ifa, second version, confirms some of the things that he talks about here. In OBD, Eshu takes possession of the first 200 divinities that came to Earth, and basically he gives birth to bad thoughts and desires and things that are passionate and things that are creating obsessions. And then he goes into explaining how it regulates the hormones and the pineal glands, the stress management, food management, and also the iris of the eye and all of these things. You know, definitely very, very well done video that, you know, you guys should watch. But there is another, also there is another Baba. He, what is his name? I think he's Leo. I think is his name. I put the link in the bid and the link in the description here. I'll have to remember if I solid. What is this? I don't know where I put it. He did a video that was perfectly what I was looking for, in regards to the Obsessor Spirit team. It is in Spanish though. If you speak Spanish, definitely I highly recommend that video. The link is in the description here. And he goes over the fact that, like, this entity, um, this entity, he also call it um, Eshonipako. And one of the things that he mentioned though, I think his name is Leo Gisola, Ifa, something like that on YouTube. He also mentions the fact that in Otura, I think it's Otura Che. I don't know if I put a sticky note. I think it's in Otura Che. He was talking about how in Otura Oche, there is evidence of why we said that every person comes with three entities: the guardian angel, this protector being, and the Egun Obsessor. um, I think the name is Ala Iboran or something like that, like Ala Iboran. And he goes over describing the description and the fact that Ala Iboran, it means the reflection of the three beings that are accompanying every human being. He also goes into mentioning the fact that he disagrees with some of the ways that people look at Eshu, because he believes that Eshu Nipako is basically an entity that, how do you say corregidor in Spanish, in English? Corregidor, like it's going to measure what you're doing and making sure that you're doing the right thing, something like that. I don't know the 100% the translation, but what I call it is this energy of the challenger that is going to come to challenge us to overcome the things that we have been working on, sometimes for multiple lifetimes. And it's like, enough is enough. We got to get this done. Now, the problem is that a lot of us don't realize that. And we're always looking for responsibility outside of ourselves. So we don't take the responsibility and we don't internalize what that means for us. Why are we creating this reality so that we can overcome the problem? But Leo Gisola, I think is his name. He goes into explaining, like, I think he says something like it's a neutral divinity that basically ensures that you are confronted by the things that we have to work in this life. So he got it. Like, he really is understanding, like, this it's not just about doing the sacrifice, but how did you create this thing? And when I was working with my baba, he says, start understanding how some of the traumas that I was going through were done, not just because of the astral entities, but because of something that I created, some trauma that I was still carrying over, because I did have an entity that came forward that, was very present in the ceremony and all of that stuff. And that was one of the things that we got from that situation. So, anyways, the back of the neck chakra, this chakra, the mouth of God, the mouth of the goddess, is really the filter of consciousness, right? So, we have done several videos on that. I'm going to ask you to go back to those videos so that you can understand. Even the video that I did on Hecate is going to have some answers for you too, because I think I did link Hecate with Eshu and like some of the things there. I don't remember the whole video, to be honest, but anyways, the point is that when you start understanding how this chakra affects this chakra that affects this chakra, so that you're in alignment, then these higher chakras, then the third eye and the crown, becomes very well aligned and activated, and it becomes less destructive, because when you activate some of these higher chakras, because you have access to them easily, but this one is still in problem, like you still having problems here, what you do is that you end up creating a lot of even worse challenges for yourself, because you might be seeing things that are of the left planes, and it can become very disrupted in a way. I hope that makes sense. So I don't know if there was anything else that I wanted to mention. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know in the comments. This there is, what is the name of this brujo? Oh my god, what is the name of this brujo? He briefly mentions this, and he is in Palo. He briefly mentions the obsessor spirit entity, briefly, like 1 second. Like you have to be paying attention to even catch it, because he's so quick that in none of the other videos he really talks about this, and it's just like 1 second, oh, and did it, and then it's gone. So he doesn't really go into explaining a lot of these things in what you see in a lot of for those that are into Monterismo and Palo, is, like the obsessor spirit entities. Normally they're seen as, oh, they're obsessors. Unless somebody has the background in Spiritismo, they don't really acknowledge that an obsessor spirit entity could be part of your spirit core. I hope that makes sense. So anyways, thank you, Nella. Thank you, Jongo. So, Eblis, I don't know if that's how we say your name. Saying that you have some idea of the hippocampus responsible for, yeah, for awareness and all of that stuff and encoding. And the thing that I found fascinating that I forgot to mention, or I don't know if I mentioned it with quantum healing, when the higher self is coming forward, the higher self is connecting the dots for the person, and also the person comes and all they have access to is this life here. But when the higher self comes and they see the past life and the other lives, the higher self breaks down all the dynamics and how everything is happening and for what purpose is happening, so that the person has a wider understanding of why things are still recurring. And one of the things is, a lot of the times the higher self, the soul, records these memories, these imprints, these challenges, and they haven't been able to address it. And because they're ready to address it, is now when they release this challenge. I'll give you an example. Um, we had someone, everything blends after a while, but this weekend we had this guy coming. He was dealing with this feeling of like feeling like he left home, Peru. He's feeling like he left Peru. He feels lonely. He feels like nothing is working out. He's going into all of these things, and he's been feeling like that for a while, because when he was a child, he had a lot of family around and all of that stuff. And it was when we go into the session, he actually goes into a life where he was a leader in a tribe that was very much like a family, and that memory got recorded because it is a memory that he needs to use for this life, for his soul mission here now. But because he got recorded, he also leaves a lot of feelings of feeling lonely because he doesn't have that tribe yet. And it's all for the purpose of reminding him, you need to seek the tribe. But in order for you to have that tribe that is going to listen to you, you have to start paying attention to everything around you and go through your evolution process of really becoming awake. And this person was extremely advanced human, like soul, with lives that are beyond, like he was tapping into ancient secret knowledge and stuff like that. But he was feeling so lonely, and he thought it was because of Peru. But with Peru, that's when he got activated the feeling. When he left Peru, he activated the feeling of leaving a family. So he also activated the feeling like he's getting ready for the next phase, and now he's going to feel lonely. But the loneliness also comes because of that life that he saw, where he was a leader and he was in this secret group where they were keeping the knowledge of some secret knowledge that they were keeping. And it all worked around this secret knowledge and this family unit and this tribe, because he needs to do that for this life. So he has that feeling of feeling like he's alone. There is not a group, there's not a family, and it's all because it's part of his mission to create a group like that, that is in alignment with what he is going to tap into, continue to receive, because he's very advanced, so that eventually everything is going to unfold. But anyways, I don't know why I started saying that. I completely forgot. So anyways, I don't want to make it too long, and it's already a very long video. So yeah, I will say, when you start feeling a lot of obsession, when you start feeling like nothing is making sense, you really have to start going through the process of reflection, to understand what is the message that your spirit team, because this obsessor spirit entity is not working alone. This entity is working in conjunction with the guardian angel and the protector spirit guide, along with the whole group of people that come, beings that come and are part of your spirit team. And sometimes what happens is they trade places. There might be an entity now that is, this entity is with you in childhood, and in childhood you have specific things that you have to overcome, like I don't know, like from 8 to 12 you go through this, and you'll be overcome that, and then if that entity is done with you, you help that entity advance, because that entity came for you to work with you. So by you accomplishing your mission, you help that entity go through its evolution process. Now, the next phase, when you go into high school or college, you might notice that you have a different feeling of who this entity is. Like if you're very advanced and you can see and feel and communicate, you're going to start seeing that perhaps the entity is not the same, because you come with different, they come with different lessons themselves, where they could be better of service to you. So that one time you might be tapping into one entity that looks different, and the next time when you overcome something major that you had to overcome for many lifetimes, perhaps you will notice that you might have a different type of entity. That's why sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't really feel that spirit guy anymore, and it's because maybe that person is done with you, and there's another one that is coming forward to replace that being that guy, in order for you to get to the next phase. So it's by phases. It's not just one and that's it. Like the guardian angel, that's pretty much like very consistent, but the rest of the team tends to pretty be very active about who comes at what point, and maybe they come back when you're done with something, and there is a lot of movement in the spirit team, spiritual core. So we have to be very aware by meditating and tapping into their energy. You can tell, like, okay, I'm getting ready for the next phase. And sometimes if you meditate, you will know, they will tell you you're getting ready for the next phase. So all you have to do is pay attention. So anyways, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next time. Thank you.